Hi everyone, great to see you again this week. Well, here I am sitting in my kitchen, but a few moments ago I was in my garden. Maybe you might remember from talks a long time ago, back in March and April, I was showing you my garden and the various plants I had. I had some tomatoes and lettuce and things like that. Well, I was doing a bit of a review today of everything that I had in my garden, and there was some good things and some not so good things, but I just wanted to show you a few different things that I learned from all my gardening over the past few months. So the first thing I wanted to tell you is, see this tomato plant? I realised that I had it in way too small a pot. It needed lots of room to grow. For example, these tomato plants down here did much better. Look at that in comparison, because look at the big amount of soil they had. Then I also noticed that I needed to water some plants more, especially this one here. Not only did I have it in a small pot, but I forgot to water it and it didn't do so well. Then a third thing I learned, not only do you need lots of soil, lots of water, I learned that plants need light. And if you can look at this lily I have over here, unfortunately I had it growing under a big bush and the light didn't get in, and the plants, so desperate for the light, started growing all in funny directions. So I would have thought that my lilies would be up like this, but in fact they drooped everywhere trying to find the light under the tree. And then the final thing that I realised I needed for all my gardening was lots of these bamboo canes and stakes. See this tomato plant down here? I was able to get these growing nice and tall because I have bamboo canes in there. So there's 4 things that my plants needed. Now, some of those things I was able to give to the plants, others I wasn't so good. We needed the soil, we needed the water, we needed light, and we needed the stake support. And you know what? That reminded me of a verse in the book of Acts, which we're looking at, which describes how Christians, back just after Jesus had gone back to heaven, how those Christians needed 4 things in particular the book of Acts calls for their discipleship. That's a big word, but it basically means just being a follower of Jesus all the time. I'm going to read you a few verses from the book of Acts that describes what the followers of Jesus needed to grow and be disciples of Jesus. A bit like what my plants needed. So the followers of Jesus devoted themselves to Jesus' teaching, to the fellowship, to the breaking of bread, and to prayer. Everyone was filled with awe, and many wonders and miraculous signs were done by the apostles. All the believers were together and had everything in common. Selling their possessions and goods, they gave to anyone as he had need. Each day they continued to meet together in the temple courts. They broke bread in their homes and ate together with glad hearts. And they praised God and enjoyed the favour of all people. And the Lord added to their number daily those who were becoming followers of Jesus. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? That not only do plants need lots of specific things to grow and develop, but we as Christians also need different things to grow. The first thing that the followers of Jesus did was listen to Jesus' teaching. And we can do that in so many ways. In fact, you're doing it now as I'm reading you words from the Bible and hearing stories about Jesus. So we listen to his teaching. You can hear that from your Sunday school teachers, from your church, and also from your mum and dad. Really important. The second thing that the disciples of all followers of Jesus had was what we call fellowship, which means being friends with other people who are friends with Jesus. And we can play and learn and pray for each other and read the Bible together, and they had fellowship with each other. Then the third thing that followers of Jesus had in the book of Acts was the breaking of bread. You might remember this when we meet in church once a month. We go up to the front and there's tables with bread and grape juice on it, and we eat a little bit, and we remember that Jesus died on the cross for us to take away our sin. So that's what the breaking of bread was, and we still do that today, even though Jesus started it 2,000 years ago. And the fourth thing that the believers did back then in biblical times was they prayed. And the good thing about that is we can still pray today. And no matter where we are, we can always pray to Jesus and he will listen to us. So, that's my garden lesson for today, folks. I found 4 things that my plants needed, which, remember, was the soil, the water, the supports, and the light. And that reminds me of the verse in the Bible of what we need to grow as disciples of Jesus. We need Jesus' teaching, the fellowship of other believers, breaking bread by remembering Jesus' death on the cross, and praying to Jesus as well. So maybe this week, why don't you pick one of those things to do every day? Maybe do them with your mum and dad, or with your brothers and sisters, or your cousins, or whoever you're going to see. And you pick one thing from this talk and do it every day this week. So before we go, why don't we sing a song like the one we learned last week? So as we become more like Jesus, as we become his disciples, we can tell other people about the good news about Jesus. So let's sing the song that we all learned together last week. Are you ready, Lana?
Yeah, let's go.